Oh boy.
Well, hello everyone. I unmuted everybody except myself. So, yeah, exactly. Hello, Steve, and hello, Greg. I've been
Hello,
going through
Ross.
the slides here, and to you attendees who have registered, it was probably one of the most remarkable and eloquent introductions I've ever spoken out, and you all just missed it. In any case, probably you already are aware that you are joining our live site review webinar at the Search Engine Academy, and my name is Ross Barefoot, and I'm here with Greg Mate and Steve Scott. We'll talk just a minute about ourselves, give you a bit of an introduction. And as you can see on my screen, which was until a moment ago silent, the goal of this is to identify basic areas that need improvement in the sites that we're looking at, and then to recommend actions to make that improvement. Now, of course, this is a limited format, so we're only going to cover a really top-level view of the sites. We have a couple of registrant sites that have been submitted. We'll be looking at those. I'll show you those in just a minute here, and answering your question as well, Steve. So today's panelists, Steve Scott, who is located down in Tampa, Florida. He's been an SEA trainer since 2004, and so he's coming up on 2 decades in search, and tends to focus, well, we're all kind of general practitioners. Steve lists as his specialties or areas of particular emphasis: analytics, WordPress, and local SEO. Greg Mate is in Montreal, and I don't think I'm even saying that the way I should, am I, Greg?
No, you gotta change that O to a U.
Okay, Montreal. There we go. How's that? And he's been a trainer with the Search Engine Academy since 2007, and he tends to specialize in web design, usability, and conversion optimization. And that's me. I'm based here sort of on the Continental Divide, or at least pretty close to it. I'm in Grand Junction, Western Colorado. So for everybody to the west of me, I'll say good morning, and to everybody to the east of me, I'll say good afternoon. I've been with the Search Engine Academy since 2011. I've been doing SEO professionally since 2002. And I tend to focus more on development, content creation, technical SEO, and SEO analysis. That's probably enough about us, because you didn't come here to learn about us. I will tell you that we're recording today's session. We'll send you a link to the recording within 24 hours. We don't have any problem with you sharing that link with friends and colleagues. And if you have to leave, it does give you a way for you to be able to review any Q&A that we do at the end of the session. So do check out the recording for whatever you may have missed. The Search Engine Academy, in case you're not familiar with us, is a global alliance of SEO trainers. We basically have trainers in Canada, across the United States, Australia, and Europe. And we tend to pool our experience and our training resources in order to present you with the best training material in the world of search. Now, we've been offering and specializing in live in-person SEO workshops and certification since 2002. I'm going to be giving you links to other resources during this, and so feel free. Our dates are there at teachseo.co/dates. All of this can be found at the searchengineacademy.com. And so basically, feel free to head over and explore the website. And I know many of you have already done that, because quite a few of our registrants today signed up through the website. Now, we do have another bonus for you at the end of today's webinar. We're going to tell you how you can get our special 2018 report, which is 8 top SEO tips and strategies for 2018. So stick around, and we'll give you a link so that you can download that as a PDF. So now, I don't think, please, Greg or Steve, let me know if I've missed anything in terms of preliminaries. But we've probably done enough in the intro, and let's get right into the sites that we're going to be looking at. And the first one that we're going to look at was submitted by Deb Kondo. I'll get it up here on screen. And it's debkondo.com, if I can find the right window here. And we're going to work through it. Now, each of us has taken a look at these sites, at the sites that we're going to review. And basically, here's how we're splitting this up. Greg is going to be taking a look at things such as usability and conversions. Steve then is going to be taking a look at things like speed. And what was the other area you're going to be looking at, Steve? Refresh my memory.
Security.
And security. And then I'll be taking a look at things like content and meta tags, title tags, and things like that. So let's get right into it. And Greg, do you want to start us off and give us some feedback about Deb's website here?
Yeah, do you mind if I show the screen from my computer?
Absolutely, go ahead and grab it.
Okay. This one. Hi, everybody. Hope everything is well with all y'all. It's a nice 85 here in Montreal. Sun, no humidity. Loving it. Can you all see my screen? Should have the Deb Condo website up.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So here's the homepage. Doesn't really tell us much of what the site is about. When I saw the URL Deb Condo, I thought it was about condos, and I don't know that I'm a lot further ahead with this homepage. Definitely in the image, we should put something about the business, the About Us page. Frankly, this could go right onto the homepage and tell us in one spot what we're doing. So the yoga, Deb is a yoga teacher, a triathlete, and a world traveler. I'm assuming, I don't know what this site is about, one or the other at this point, I guess kind of yoga from the homepage. So again, that, you have to define, every page should have a goal, and it should be evident what the person is supposed to do on the page. The home page is pretty important as far as optimization goes and telling the search engines what the website is about. So definitely this About Us information, I think, should be on the home page. There's a blog here. For some reason, there we go. I guess it's kind of a standard format. This text-centered text is not the easiest to read. I would tend to maybe left justify it like normally in a book. The cart page doesn't do anything, I found out. The resources page, so there's this drop down to foundations, but you can also go to the resources page. So I would design this drop down to this separate page and to get you to this page without being able to go directly to this Got Stuff page. So looking around here, things I found useful in my life. So she's got some travel and resources here. If you click on one of these links, you're going to go to, in this case, Amazon. This takes you right away from Deb's website. So rather than do that, I would have these open up in a separate window so that people can then continue their experience on the website. If I go to this resources page, I guess this is kind of a sales page for an ebook. So I would get rid of this navigation on the right. Hi, I'm Deb, and social media, and just focus on this ebook. I might make this image smaller. I might make the image look like an ebook, more particular, to help me, understand what's going on here. If I go to the checkout page, I clicked on it earlier, but normally there would be nothing there, but once you click on this, something does appear on the checkout page. I don't know if you would want to put that into a little shopping cart symbol instead, so people are less apt to look at it. The contact page, I guess, is okay. There's no physical address or whatever. So there's not a lot of meat on the bones for search engines. Because this Deb Condo isn't a logo or is the same color, I'm assuming people will find their way back to the home page by clicking on it, but maybe put a home button here or make this a different color to make it stand out more like a logo. That's what I have for usability and conversions. Ross, or Steve, you going to take over?
Sure. Yes, exactly. I had regrettably muted myself again. I seem to be addicted to that mute button. So yeah, Steve, why don't you jump in and give us your observations, and then I'll finish up on Deb's stuff after that.
Sure thing. All right, Deb. Well, I'm going to grab the screen control here, and I've already gone ahead and run your site through a couple of tools. So just for FYI purposes here, Google is very much focused on security and speed, especially in July. There'll be some big things coming up from Google in regards to your site being secure, meaning HTTPS at the .com level, not just for the shopping cart, but at the heart of the whole website. And as well for being fast. Google's very, very focused on the usability of the site, and how easy it is for people to deal with your site. Most people will bolt from your website if it loads more, it takes more than 2 or 3 seconds. So there's several different places that you can go to get yourself some information about speed of your site, and maybe if there's some problems, what those problems are. One of those places that I like to use a lot is GTmetrix, and the reason I do that is because they've got both the page speed score, which is from Google, and the YSlow score, which is a Yahoo-based product. And don't worry about whether you use Yahoo or not, doesn't really matter. They're just sort of giving us some ideas on how to rank better. Overall, from the performance of the speed, you see it's very, very good. You have an A, 94 is great. We see a lot of D's, E's, and F's in looking at these things here. And overall, from the perspective of the page speed score with the Google tool, it looks really good. However, as you can see, the YSlow score is giving you a D, which is not good. And if we look at that, there are some items here that give you understanding about why they are grading you, why you've been slowed down, so to speak. And so they're just giving you different things that could be done. For example, these add expires headers and make fewer HTTP requests. And honestly, your requests are pretty good, only 49. I think my own site's close to 200, and my own site's kind of a nightmare these days because of that. So that's actually pretty good overall. They're just kind of giving you a notification that if you can make it smaller, even better. And then using a content delivery network. The basics of a delivery network, of a CDN as it's called, is just that your site, the files, the primary files, the main files, images, CSS, things like that, are stored on computers on the cloud all over the world, and whoever calls for your site is fed the website from the closest computer to them, thereby making it much faster and easier. Again, some of the stuff here is going to be a bit more of a programmer's job as opposed to something that you can do personally if you're like a business owner. What's nice about GTmetrix is you can open up these things here and it'll give you some basics as far as what's going on, and then a what's this mean gives you a little rollover that you can see information, or you can hit the read more button and actually get taken to a bunch of information, sometimes more detailed than others, but it will actually give you some understanding about what the recommendations are here, what you could do, and so on. So overall, from GTmetrix standpoint, it looks pretty good from Google, but it definitely could use some basic changes here to get a better score overall. You want these both to really be in the A zone. Now, there's another one out there you can use too as a comparison check, and I've done that as well, which is called Pingdom, tools.pingdom.com. Gone ahead and put your site in here as well. And again, they're giving you a D grade, a 67, so that looks pretty close to what we had here, the D grade with 66. And then again, gives you some additional information about what you could potentially do to make the site faster. Each of these, again, minimize request size, for example, gives you some information about this thing here, and they give you links to other places so you can get some more information about what's going on. So overall, not bad. There's also a mobile speed test, and that's really, really important. Google is focused on the mobile environment, the mobile users, and you can see here your site does pretty well, actually, which is great to see. You don't often see 4 seconds with a good after it. That's really good. I'll often see 8, 10, 12 seconds even. So this does look good, and you can see it's pretty quick. You're pretty much right there where the competitors are in the same area, and there's a few fixes that you can take, and that gives you these top fixes here. Many of the same things we already saw: optimize images, reduce server response times, JavaScript, and then you can also try accelerated mobile pages, which are a way to store kind of slim down HTML pages stored in the Google Cloud, which make the delivery much, much faster. Other tools out there is one here for images, which I like, is called the Cloudinary, and these will actually take a look at your images. What's nice about these things, you only have one image on the page, so it's showing you sort of how it could be compressed and which format would be the smallest size with the least loss of data. So this is a really nice one to analyze your image sizes. And oftentimes the speed issue comes down to, have you optimized your images to a point where they look good, but at the same time they have as small a footprint as possible, meaning the kilobyte size is as small as possible on the site. So you can use this tool as well. This is the PageSpeed Insight tool from Google, which is basically what we saw on the GTmetrix side of things. And then the nice thing also that you can look at is a couple other things about padlocks. So let's talk about security for a moment. You'll see here, if I were to just put in debcondo.com, it's coming up to HTTPS, which is nice, but notice it's not a green lock, it's not secured. If I go to just the www debcondo, so you'll see that it actually does show up without the HTTPS. So you've got an issue here with mixed security, right? It looks like if someone goes to type in the debcondo without www and hits enter, it does roll to the proper location, HTTPS. However, if they try to put it in just as the www without adding HTTPS, you see it kind of stays in that place. It doesn't forward. So there's a technical thing going on here from the server side that would allow you to be able to shift from the non-secured version of your site to your secured version of the site. And we definitely want that to happen. But as we saw a moment ago, right, when I started this out, and it does go to the secure page, you see it starts out green and it goes away. And the reason it goes away, if you click the little I here, you see it says it's not fully secure. And what's happening is there's something on this page that's being referenced within the HTML of the site that's calling for an insecure piece of content. What's great about that is there's a really cool tool out there that I like a lot, I've been using forever. It's called Why No Padlock, and that's the domain, whynopadlock.com. You simply put in the URL that you're trying to check why you're not getting that green padlock, and it'll give you some basic information. You could see something here about your server's not forcing HTTPS, and that's part of why you notice that we were able to get to the www version of the site without security. You'll also see at the bottom here a soft failure. This is saying that there's an image with an insecure URL, which looks like your logo, right? We can actually just copy that, slap that into a URL, take a look at which image is causing the problem. So there it is. So this is the image. And basically what's happening is that this image that's being called from the site is being called by using HTTP. All you really got to do to fix it is change the image's URL to be HTTPS, or actually have the URL just not have the slashes next to them. Just actually be, just be // That'll also work. And then whether you're on HTTP or HTTPS, it'll work. So you could use those tools as well. And then lastly, there's another cool tool out there called JITBit SSL check. This is great. This will actually crawl your pages looking for if there's insecure or other information that might not be secured. This one didn't find any issues, although we did find one with the Why No Padlock. Finally, something I've been using as well to help out and clean things up, make things faster, is a cool little tool called Unused CSS. Not really security, or it is a speed thing. And what this lets you do is it lets you see of all the styling tools, CSS that's in your site, how much of it's used and how much of it's unused. And this is only running on a single page, but you can see a lot of this stuff from Font Awesome, for example, is not being used. So this is and this will actually give you updated versions of your CSS to help you clean up some of this stuff that you can take out, things that are not being used by your styling. Now, of course, it's got to check all the pages, not just one, to see if it's being used in some other pages with a the fuller count, you can get more of the details there. But overall, the site is definitely fast, which is great. There are some certain improvements that can be made here, as seen both here and in the website speed on Pingdom. You are secure, however, you're not fully secure in that, right, you've got this busted URL that's showing, pointing at a non-secure site. But you can go ahead and check Why No Padlock to see what you can do to fix that. And you do need to make sure that your site does not render both the www with and without the HTTPS. You want to have all the sites URL starting with HTTPS. That's about it for me on my end. I will turn it over to Ross.
Okay, Steve, thanks a lot for that. And let me go ahead and grab the screen here. And then I'll go through a little bit more before we move on to our next site. And so let me know when you can see my screen. You should be able to see Deb's site again. Does it look like it switched over okay?
Yep, you're all good.
Okay, great. All right, so you know, SEO is all about the tools, and Steve went through quite a few tools that are very, very useful. I'm going to go through my own batch of tools. I use one called SERPworks here when I'm taking a quick look at a site and it does an overlay on the site, giving some of the metrics that are important. Now, one of the things that we're looking at here is Deb's content, because Google is a search engine. Although they will produce a whole lot of image results, a search engine typically thrives on textual content. Now, in her correspondence when she submitted her site, Deb said that this has been primarily a personal blogging project. She would like to show up in search, and I did a quick look, and she's not really showing up for anything in terms of keywords, and part of that is because Google really has no way to determine what this page is relevant to. Since there's no textual content, there's basically just links. And you can look at that over here on SERPworks. If you drop down, you can see the page word count here. There's only 18 words on the page. Normally, we'd recommend for a page to give some relevance to Google, you have to have at least a few hundred words on the page in terms of content. So one of the things that Deb would have to do would be to determine, well, okay, she wants it to show up in search, but what for? So she's going to have to determine what she wants this to be relevant to in terms of when people are out there looking, and then create content that's useful and place it on the page. And that was mentioned a little bit by Greg, as he said there's really nothing here to give context to the site. Now, there is textual content on the blog, the About page, and so forth. It would tend to be what we would call very thin content. Normally, what I will do also is I'll run something called a crawl on the site. What I'm showing on my screen here is a tool, and I hope that the font size is big enough for you. I apologize if it's small. This is a tool called Screaming Frog. Screaming Frog has a free version that you can download. It runs on your desktop. And I've got the wrong example here. Let me get up our one that I had run for Deb. And you can see when we take a look at her site, it'll go through and it'll look at every URL within the site. And in this case, it'll also show me what the title is for the page, and this corresponds to the title tag on each of the pages. It'll also show me other things about each of the pages on Deb's site, such as something called the meta description, and you can see it over here at the far left. Now, these are important pieces of content, even though they're not immediately visible to a user who browses the site. And so these pieces of content are basically ones that help Google to identify what the site is relevant to, and then also that will give searchers clues as to why they might want to visit some of the pages on the site. So if we go to the back to Deb's site and we take a look at how it would appear in search results, notice that I've done here a search in Google, and you can do this as well on your own site. You type in the word site and then the colon and then your domain name afterwards. You can see all the pages that Google has indexed for a particular site. We see them here for debcondo.com. But one of the key benefits of this tool is you can also see what these search results would look like if they came up and a user was searching for something particular. you can see, like, for example, this is the home page of Deb's site. And this part right here is drawn from what's called the title tag. And her title tag merely says home Deb Kondo. Well, if I'm a person who's searching for, let's say, information about fitness or traveling or yoga or whatever the case may be, this doesn't give me any clues as to why I would want to click on this. So one of the key things that Deb would need to do with her site is go through on each of her pages and create a title tag that's relevant to the people that she wants to reach, and then also create a meta description tag. And the meta description tag normally will put a piece of content in where you see this right here. And right now, Google is just pulling some random text off the page because remember, there's only 18 words on that page. But normally what Google will do is they will, if you have a description placed into the content of each of your pages, Google will usually show that description here. And it's best to give your searcher, someone who's going to see this in search, a reason to visit the site. So that would be something else that would be important for Deb to do as she moves this site forward. I have actually put just together a few basic needs that the site needs. And so what we'll do, Deb, is we'll just send this over to you when we're done. But you can see these basic needs are textual content. We haven't really talked about an XML sitemap, but your site does need something called an XML sitemap. We have a link here, and I might just send this out to all the webinar participants as well, because this gives a link to some training materials on each of these things. For example, we talked about how her title tags need to be improved, and she needs to create meta description tags, and we actually have a course on creating title tags and meta description tags. Also, it would be good, Deb, for you to determine, sort of as you go into this, I know that you haven't really done an SEO program for your site, but one of the starting points for that is to determine what are the keywords that are important to the people that you want to reach. And so there are a number of ways to do that. And at this point, I'll make mention of the fact that in just a few weeks, we're going to actually do a webinar about how to use Google's new keyword planner to be able to get a bead on what keywords might be most useful for you to incorporate into your site. And then the last thing is, if I go back to the site and I go back to the tool, the overlay tool that I use, SERPworks up here, you'll notice it's got a couple numbers here. One is called Trust Flow, and it's got a 0. The other is called Domain Authority, and it's got a 2. What those numbers basically say is, on a scale of 0 to 100, how strong is this website in terms of other people wanting to link to the website? And in the case of Deb's site, there's really virtually no other websites, or very few, that are, and as a matter of fact, it's no, because I can look over here on the left. It'll tell me how many domains and how many links are going to Deb's homepage, and it's 0. Google tends to not trust a site if no one else on the internet wants to link to that site. And so one of the things that it's important for Deb, for you to do, is to create backlinks going to your website. And we also have, I didn't start this out as with the intention of making this an advertisement for other training materials, but we do have classes. As a matter of fact, a webinar we did not too long ago, Steve did, on free and easy ways to discover great linking opportunities. So those would be a number of resources you would want to look at and address these basic needs, and you would undoubtedly start getting some results in search when you do that. So Greg or Steve, any final words on debkondo.com before we move on to our next site?
I would just say, don't worry yet. I'm gathering the site's somewhat newer. Maybe I'm incorrect with that, but typically, you got to start somewhere. So if you don't have any links yet, it just means you only got one place up, one place to go, and that's up. So that's a good sign. And there's certainly room for growth, which is nice. It's not like you're sort of at the end of your rope and now you're just going to have to deal with what you're dealing with. It looks like you're just getting started. I think you'll be fine if you follow some of these tips and advice.
Right. And Greg, were you going to offer something else as well? I thought
Oh,
I heard
silly.
he was going to chime in.
He's there.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next website that's been submitted. And that website has been submitted. It's Brooks Law Group. And so we'll start out with Brooks Law Group. Greg, are you ready to go on this one? Or with,
Yes.
okay, all right. Well, then why don't you go ahead and grab the screen and we'll go forward with Brooks Law Group.
Okay, can you see
Yes.
the screen? All right. So a little bit more detailed site than Deb, so I guess they've been working at it. So this is the home page. Where would I start? So they have this interesting contact us now in the top left-hand corner and a get help now vertically on the left. My first thought of when I saw that now is actually, I wonder if they're open now. So, and then I found somewhere in the site that you can contact them 24/7. So I might try changing that contact us now, which I know you know, often that's a tactic to try to get people to do something now, to 24/7. Because if someone's looking at this any time of the day, they know they can get help now, no matter what time of day it is. So that might be interesting. And that said, you want to, when you do changes like this, it's often a good idea to track what happens after the changes. So you can do that in analytics. Of course, Google Analytics is a free analytics program. Google also has this tool called Google Optimize. So you can do 2 versions of your page and see which one converts better. So that might be something interesting to do with some of the things that we talk about here today. So now in the navigation, we have about us, attorneys, and practice areas. So if I want to know what practice areas Brooks Law is offering, I have to click on this. And now I have to go searching through their various things. So I would suggest putting a drop-down menu here that would list car injury, motorcycle accident, et cetera, whatever services that they offer. So back to the home page, they have this information here: personal injury attorneys with a personal approach, and then this big blob of text. People generally don't like to read blobs of text, so I would suggest breaking this up a little bit and maybe building on personal injury attorneys with a personal approach. So their first line is, we believe that everyone in our community matters. So you could maybe make that bold, smaller heading than the first one, and you might want to spell out what that means to them. And then if you've been hurt, we want to hear your story. So that's pretty powerful too. That's something that could be in bold, or maybe just embolden, if that's a word, some of the words in these paragraphs, like we want to hear your story, take time to listen. Another thing that, this is getting a little picky, there's a lot of we, our, talking about Brooks Law. So people want to hear what you're going to do for them. So you might want to turn this around to get more you and yours in there, and talk about the benefits that they're going to get for dealing with Brooks Law. Here over on the right, worried if you have a case, wondering if you can afford an attorney, here from Steve. So I might move that up so it's not, move it up in line with personal injury attorneys, and maybe put if you have a case on one line, wondering if you can afford an attorney on a separate line, and then hear from Steve. So we don't know who Steve is yet, what the significance of that is. Maybe in this image we could put, hi, I'm Steve, or something. Not sure. I'm assuming they want to make it a personal approach, which is cool. But hear from Steve, the president, something to further define that message. So if I go check out Steve's page, it's now affording legal help. So it still doesn't tell me who Steve is. So I'm assuming this is Steve. As I said earlier, each page you want to has to have a goal, and that goal has to be evident on the page. You want that goal to be before someone has to scroll down, because they might not scroll down and they might not see it. So something I find really intriguing here is this statement: our clients owe us nothing unless we win their case. Well, holy mackerel, why not have that on the home page, right above this stuff? I mean, I think that's something pretty powerful for people to know. And then down here at the bottom, call today to hear how Steve can help you today, free no cost obligation. This might be a better header than this one, affording legal help, which seems to be another topic than Steve. So we've got to figure out what to do on this page. And I think on the attorney's page, also, if I go to Mr. Brooks here, Jr., so there's a video that's there. That's great. It's above the fold. But here too is that same image. I would test replacing this top image of Mr. Brooks at his desk with this one, friendly face, smiling at them, nice picture, telling them that we can get in touch, free, no obligation. Might be a way to go. What else? There's images, I think, on the blog. No, testimonials. I like the more brightness of these pictures compared to the other pictures on the website. So maybe freshen them up a bit or lighten them up a bit. This one is kind of drab. So that would be another suggestion there. Okay, talked about that. I think overall it's a pretty good site, but that might be some things I would suggest Brooks Law to have a look at. Steve, can I send it over to you?
No, but I could take it from you.
Okay. Take it away, Steve.
Done. All right, guys. You should be able to see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
So great. I went ahead, did the same basic things here, took the Brooks Law Group site and ran it through GTmetrix again. I'm logged into my free account, and when you do the free account, you can change like what server location is and even a bit about browser that you're using. Paid versions actually give you mobile ideas. Now I ran the home page first, and again we see here a very low page speed score, a D and an E. So definitely a different look than speed-wise than from the previous site that we looked at. They've got issues here with their images, and we'll see some more about that in a moment, but there's an F on the images. That's really what's causing a lot of the problem, is that many of the images that you've already got on this home page are larger than necessary. You might be taking a photo that is, like in this case here, 749 by 748, and it's being shrunk to be shown in a space that's 94 by 94. Well, you're better off creating a file that's actually just 94 by 94, and it basically would serve you 98% reduction in the size of the image. So that's causing some issues. You'll see other things here, again, browser caching, optimizing images as well. These are all various ways in which you can make updates and changes. Some of them, as you see, are based in the CSS. Some are from the server level. At the server, changes need to be made. Some are content-based issues, image-based issues. But again, with any of these things, like if we were to go to the images here, it's going to give you some basic information about what the problem is. And then if you're not sure, a hover will show you that. If you click the read more, you'll get a much more detailed, information about what it does and how to do it. So very, very helpful to get that. So I'm not going to sit here and go through each item. Just be aware that you've got lots of items that need tweaking. Now keep in mind, this is only for a single page. So just to show you a comparison page, I grabbed another page. This is inside the site a bit more. It's a community outreach page, and see that the speed changes on page speed score It's now an 84%. Notice that the requests are at 76 and 6.7 seconds versus what was 8.1 and 85 requests and 2 megabytes. This is a much smaller, almost half the total page size. So each page is going to have a difference in speed, and you do want to be able to check these things. Now, yeah, obviously you're not going to spend hours putting every single page of your site in here, but it's a good idea to check the same basic types of pages. Your home page, maybe a services or category page. If you're like a product-based program, check, let's say, the category of products, maybe an actual product page itself, perhaps your cart, your shopping cart page, those kinds of things. So it's a good idea to check each of the types of pages. If you have just a service-based page where you're not selling any product or service, you might just want to try your services pages, maybe your blog post, a post page, something like that. Here, again, we see two of the bigger issues is you're not using browser caching, which can make things render a little bit faster. There's a lot of different types of caching tools out there, which just store the information for future use. If it's, let's say, a logo or something, and you might see on every single page, there's no point in going back out to the server to get that logo, since it's probably not going to change from page to page. So caching can help you with that. And then you got this minimize or redirect from page speed. YSlow, again, has other items here, making fewer requests, using that content delivery network, minifying by getting rid of some of the junk space or extra line breaks that might be in things like CSS or JavaScript. And it'll, again, tell you what those major items are and where you might be able to get some additional speed out of it. We get basically the same thing from the tools at pingdom.com. By the way, folks, I've actually in the chat window gone ahead and added all of, or put in all of the URLs for all of these tools, so you'll be able to get them access to them very quickly. Just grab the tools links from the chat. So I did another one here on the test Think with Google. This is the speed test from Google on the mobile platform, and as you can see, does not look good. It's rated at 12 seconds on a 3G network. Yeah, they always do 3G because not everybody has 4G all the time, although many of us do. So this is not a good look here. You'll see at the next one, by comparison, you're at 12 seconds. The top performing sites that are in related industry type businesses are like about 3.5, 4 seconds. So there's definite room for improvement on your speed, and that needs to be looked at very, very quickly. And they give you a few top fixes here to reduce load time by 3 seconds. And that's a lot. Again, Google recommends getting your site completely visible and available for use within 3 seconds. Here we're talking about shaving off 3 seconds. So definitely there's places to do that. Here's the image analysis result. And as you can see here, there's a lot. So your current images take about 1.5 megabytes of your overall size. And take a look at it. Your whole page is about 2 megabytes. So the images, just the images themselves, are taking up a good chunk of the actual time it takes to load this page up. And as you can see, there's 24 images totaling about 2 meg, and you can compress them down pretty well. And then it goes through all the images and shows, well, hey, this is 1,389, could be reduced to this. You'd save 6.4%. This particular image here can be scaled down and save almost half of the size. Same thing with this image. So you've got a lot of images here. Many of them, as you can see on this page, can be reduced. Here's one that can reduce 71 percentage points or more. So this is really something to take a look at. What can you do to save the download, the bandwidth? I mean, this is going to save everything. Bandwidth, speed's going to be better, everything. So definitely take a look at that. When I go to the page speed insights from Google, they're having a hard time even looking at the page speed, although the optimization looks good. So you're optimized well, but they can't even get to the speed. It's probably just taking too long for it to load. And your desktop speed, again, also unavailable, probably because it's taking too long for it to load. Now, one of the other cool tools at SSL Check, well, your site does show up as full HTTPS with the www. It always does, which is great. So unlike the previous site where we could see both www and non-www versions and HTTPS versus non-HTTPS sites, I ran this one through. It looked at 200 pages of your site, actually found 2 pages that have a problem. If I were to take this HTTPS page, which is this community outreach page, and just go ahead and put that into a browser bar, you'll see here, it a moment to fully load. So again, you'll notice that, well, hey, you don't have that green lock. So there's something going on here. What's nice about this tool is it checks all the URLs that it crawls, and this little question mark, if you click on that, it actually shows you what the problems are. Notice these are all images. So all the images on this page, at least these 4 images here, and of course you can just highlight that, copy it, and just paste it into the URL, hit enter. You can see the image if you're not sure which image. So it's this one here. You can see it's a very large image right now. It's the actual size of the image. So this can tell you which of the images are causing a problem. And with this test results here, again, same thing down here. It says, hey, you've got some issues with this URL. So this will help you very quickly figure out where there might be issues on anywhere on your site and allow you to go ahead and try to make some corrections for them. We looked at no padlock. Now, we looked at the CSS for the previous website. Most of it was green, meaning it was used. But just here on the home page of your website, a lot of stuff is not used, right? We see a lot of red. More than, half of the items here are red in a lot of places on the home page. So all the CSS is being rendered or looked at, but not a whole lot of it's being used, at least not on the home page. So you'd want to explore all the pages and download them. You could just come to this site, put your site in and put your email in, it'll do a whole test and send it to you in an email, which is really nice and helpful. Other than that though, the page is mobile friendly, which is good, but again, you are secure. Some pages are not. You definitely have ways, and you definitely have some speed issues that need to be tackled. It looks like a lot of those speed issues are going to be easily handled, or going to make a reduction by looking at those images. And again, with that little image test tool here, on Web Speed Test Cloudinary, you can get some basic help on which of the ones are the worst offenders and which ones can add value. You can change to add some better value and make your site a whole lot faster, which Google likes. And again, as we said, having a fast and secure site come July 1 is going to make a big difference. It's going to be important. So keep that in mind. That's it for me on this particular site. I shall turn it over now to Ross.
Okay, thanks a lot, Steve. Appreciate that analysis. And you learn something new every day. For me, it's Cloudinary. Definitely going to use that tool in the future. I was not familiar with it, so that's pretty cool.
If it makes you feel any better, Ross, I just found it today, so we both.
Yeah, being a professional SEO means that every day you discover something that you haven't found in terms of a tool, because there's so many of them out there. So anyway, can you see my screen now? I should be on the homepage, I believe, of Brooks Law Group.
You're good.
Good.
All right. Now, in the correspondence before the webinar, Steve Brooks said that he had a number of concerns about the site, including keyword research, meta tags, and localization. Now, we're starting to run a little short on time, so we can't get to all of those. I thought I'd pick one of these in order to give us an idea of where might be the quickest, easiest improvement. First of all, I noticed the same thing. Just to give you some encouragement here, Steve, this is SEMrush, and it shows you the performance of brookslawgroup.com over the last couple of years. This is in number of keywords ranked for, so you guys are doing a lot of things right, because you're progressing quite nicely in the search results. So let's see, how can we keep that momentum going? Now, you remember I showed the Screaming Frog crawl that I did on debcondo.com, and this is a crawl that I did on Brooks Law Group. Now, I think this is going to be a really useful tool for you guys in terms of improving not just how you appear in search, but how many people are going to visit you once they see your listing in the search results. So here, the crawler's basically gone through and take a look at all the pages that are on your website, and it actually came up with quite a few. You have a pretty active blog, a lot of various content pages, and so forth. Now, one of the things that I can do with this tool is I can click on a particular URL, in this case the home page, and then notice down here I've got a choice that says SERP snippet. So if I click on that, it's going to give me a preview of what the search snippet is going to look like. In other words, when someone searches for your particular location and they see, or for keywords that are relevant to your particular business model, and they see your listing, it's going to look like this for the home page. Now, typically, I think that there's a number of problems with the meta tags on your page and with the title tag. And the first is that most of your title tags are too long, or at least a large number are. So you can see here, it says Brooks Law Group, Tampa, Lakeland, and Winter Haven personal injury, ... Whenever you see those 3 dots, it means that the title tag for the page is too long. Now, one of the things that I can do in Screaming Frog is I can click on the tab up at the top left, if you see where my mouse is. I click on Page Titles, and then I can select over here, Filter, also top left. Anything over 65 characters could be problematic. And I actually get 400 hits of title tags that are going to be too long to properly display in search. And as we go down here, we can see that this is going to hinder your ability to get people to click on your listing because they can't see what the listing is really about. Now, you've got also a problem with the meta description tags. It's a little bit of the opposite problem in that a lot of your meta description tags are missing. So you can see down here where my mouse is, this is a search snippet preview, and you see how there's nothing underneath the URL. So we've got the title, which is Testimonials, Brooks Law Group, and then we've got the URL and then nothing under here. That's because the description is empty. So I would make it a priority to go through your website just from the standpoint of optimizing the titles and the descriptions to make sure that there are good titles that will compel the searcher to click on your listing in search and actually visit the site, because you're showing up in search pretty well. Let's see if you can get more visitors and the right type of visitors. Now, one other thing I'll say about the title tags is Google looks at the title tag as very important for establishing the relevance of the website. So you always want to make an effort to put a keyword that's relevant to the ideal customer that you want to reach in the title tag of your site. And I realized that one of the questions you had was about keyword research. So I'm going to defer that because let's see, on the 25th of July, we're going to do another free webinar. It's the same time of day, same day of the week, and it's on using the Google Keyword Planner, and that is primarily for keyword research. One of the things that we focus on the Search Engine Academy, is using keyword research in order to determine not just what keywords are searched on, but how searchers behave, and particularly the type of searchers that you want to connect with, those who would be your primary market. Now, the one thing I haven't addressed here, and again, because this is a limited format, we can't really go into detail, is your question about local. And the one thing that I will tell you just as a quick tip about local, and that is when we're looking at, for example, let's go to your home page here and we'll take a look at your title tag. I notice, because you do have a number of locations, and I notice that you're putting all your various locations in the title tag of the home page. So my one recommendation on local is you need to start targeting particular pages to particular locations. Google doesn't really like very well when you put a bunch of different locations in a title tag. So you need to start getting some focus within your website, maybe creating sections of the website that are more focused towards the Lakeland location, others that are more focused to Winter Haven. I did notice that you do have a page that has contact information and a unique text for each of those locations. But you're also going to need to probably create a bit more focus for the title tags when it comes to those. And I'm sorry we don't have more time. There's more things that we noticed and so forth, but I'm hopeful that at least in those key areas that it gives you something to take a look at and work on in order to continue that momentum that you've got going. So at that point, I'm going to have to jump back out of the actual site reviews and wrap up the webinar and get to the bonus material that I had promised you at the beginning. And so let's see. We hope that you learned something useful today. If you did, definitely don't stop here, because we're going to give you an opportunity to take $50 off of some additional instruction. Now, a lot of people who come to these webinars, they have this question: why don't I show up on Google? Well, we've got actually a 2-hour webinar course that we're offering. Normally, it's $97 for that course. And for those people who were registered for this webinar, and we had really good registration, better part of 100 people are signed up, you can use the link that I'm giving you right here. It's teachseo.co/062718. And what that is a direct link. You can use it up until June 30th, and it'll knock $50 off of that course. Now, one thing is that it does go through a lot of the local issues, and I'm particularly directing this to you, Steve, about Brooks Law Group, because one of the examples that we used in that course is a local search example. It shows you how to optimize your Google My Business listing. It also talks about some of the other factors that are important in search. I'm also going to make you aware of the fact that we do have a lot of in-person workshops coming up at the end of June, also July and August. You can take a look here and see if there's anything close to where you're at. We've got classes going in Dallas, New York, Las Vegas, Newport Beach. And you'll see at the bottom here another link to teachseo.co/dates. And I'm only using a shortened link here so you can remember it a little bit more easy or don't have to as much to type in. But all of those dates are also on searchengineacademy.com on our website. One last thing I'll mention, and that is we do now our basic 2-day SEO online training, and we are now enrolling for our next course. Now, this is distance-based. It's on August the 23rd and the 24th. It's the full curriculum that we teach in our live in-person workshops. And we have 3 different levels that you can participate in. If you go to the link down here below, it'll tell you what is actually offered at each of those levels. And it includes at a couple of the levels actual one-on-one mentoring with the Search Engine Academy instructor. So definitely check that out. You don't have to be close to us in order to get that level of instruction. Our next free webinar is July 11th, and I spoke wrong earlier. It's not the 25th. July 11th is Embracing Google's New Keyword Planner, and that's a registration link right there. And then on July the 25th is an SEO career in your future? And there's the link for that. Both of them are basically just the teachseo.co and then the date of the webinar. So please keep track of this page here. And it's also available if you just go to searchengineacademy.com and select free live webinars from the menu. We will continually be doing free webinars in order to provide a lot of SEO instruction at absolutely no cost to you. So, if you're regularly signing up for these webinars, I think most people who have been attending them over the course of a few years have learned a lot about improving their site. And we're on a good schedule over the coming month. Now, about the free bonus, that's the special report, 8 top SEO tips and strategies for 2018. And I'm going to put this link also in an email that we'll send out to you as a thank you for attending the webinar. But you can simply go to teachseo.co/2018-special-report. Now, I've covered a lot of ground here. I hope that, again, this webinar has been useful. Thank you very much, Steve and Greg, for all the insights for the participants that have been attending the webinar.
Yeah, lots of fun. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Ross. Thanks, everyone, for attending. We forgot to invite people to use the chat, but feel free to let us know if you thought this was worthwhile. And look forward to the next time.
And all right. Brooks Law, you guys are in my backyard. I'm glad this was helpful.
Yeah, I saw that. Tampa and all over in Florida.
Winter Haven, yeah, they're close by.
All you refugees from cold weather, hope you can enjoy it. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and call a halt to the webinar. And again, thank you very much for attending, and we hope to see you on future webinars that we're doing.
Bye, everybody.
Peace out.